Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode, Facebook Live. I'm so happy to be here and to be able to do this. It's one of those days I'm not feeling particularly beautiful, so it's a real challenge to be here today, but I'm still really happy to be here and happy to be talking with you guys. What we're going to be talking about today is the true cost of being invisible, right? And so it was extra important for me to get here and be visible today so we could talk about this topic. And becoming visible is a habit of consistency. You have to keep coming back at it over and over and over again to make it stick. So, you guys know I wrote this book, The 10 Principles of Visibility, and I should have had one right here to show you, but I do. My 10 Principles of Visibility that I'm really proud of because it really talks about what it takes to get visible. How you doing, Fran? It's good to see you here as usual. And so I wrote this book and it talks about the 10 principles of visibility. And that's important, right? Because we need to get visible. But why? Why am I so passionate about the process of becoming visible, right? I have a friend that loves to say visibility is profitability. And that's true too. But I think when we're talking about being invisible, even though I'm talking to you guys as business owners, when you're invisible, you lose more than money, right? It's not just money that gets lost in the equation. And though, losing money is a big enough deal, right? It's hard. We live in a material world where money matters. There's other things that get lost. There's the opportunity that gets lost. There's the cost to your health and your mental well being. There's the cost to your sense of self worth. There's a cost to your sense of ownership, right? Because as you're becoming invisible, you notice that all of these things are coming up for you. And as you start to become more visible, you see how much you've missed, how many opportunities you let slide by because you weren't willing to take that chance, that risk of stepping out and being seen and being heard. You weren't willing to put yourself out there because it was too scary, right? For any number of reasons. And so you stay stuck and hiding, and that just keeps you from achieving your dream. So that invisibility is not only something that's making you lose opportunity, not only something that's affecting your health and your mental well-being, not only making you lose money, it's crushing your dream. That's the real cost of being invisible, is that it crushes your dreams. You start to settle for less and less so that you can stay in hiding. That's a really, really hard thing to reconcile with. When you finally come out of it, there's so much catching up to do, right? There's so many things that you've missed that now you have to try to recapture, right? So you're not just hurting your moment that you're doing these things to yourself, that you're choosing to be invisible, you're hurting your future. You're hurting your future moments because things are relative, right? Things catch up over time. Like we talk about generational wealth, right? And we always talk about how hard it is when you don't have the generational support to back you up. So, Black people in particular feel this thing because there was so much taken away in past generations that the Black generational wealth is behind. There's a big gap between the generational wealth over decades between white people and Black people because there hasn't been this history of catching up. Well, the same thing happens when you're invisible, regardless of what your race is, because you don't have these opportunities that build you and build you and build you. You are behind the times. So when you go to catch up, you already have this huge deficit you have to make up for to the starting line where all of the visible people were starting. If this is the starting line of the visible people, you're starting back here. And now you have to catch up before you can even get started. there's a huge cost to being invisible, and it's not just about the money. You are invisible because of how you feel about yourself. And that shows up in every aspect of your life. It shows up in the money you've made, it shows up in the friends you've made, it shows up in the life you're living, it shows up in everything you're trying to do with your life. And so each of those things now have to be adjusted for, because now you're visible and now you're ready to make money and now you're ready to build this business. But your prices have been minuscule because you haven't believed enough in yourself to have real prices, to charge a real fee, right? Because you didn't think that that could happen, that nobody would hire you if you charged real money. So there's all these little things that cost you over time because you've been invisible. And the stress that comes with that of hiding takes a toll on your health. And so you may find yourself dealing with health, you may find issues, you may find yourself dealing with being overly stressful. All kinds of things happen, and it's all because of being invisible, right? I know when I chose to be invisible, and I'd always been active, but I was invisible. One day, at one point, I was going into the army, and I ended up not going into the army because I got accidentally discharged. And it's like, wow, I'm so grateful that happened. But I was going into the army, and I was, you had to be at the right weight and height and all of that stuff. And so, yeah, so we're talking about this huge impact from being invisible. This is the thing. I was going to be in the army, and I was at the right weight and height. While I was at this height and weight, because I had made sure I got to that point, I was hanging out with some friends, and I was in the village. And I had always hung out in the village, but I had always been really at the right weight and stuff. I had done this to get in the army. People started whistling at me. People started noticing me. I was like, oh my God. I get all of these whistles and people noticing me, and I'm like really freaked out. And we're going to a concert with friends. And one of the people who was with my friend wanted to see past me. And she just picked me up and moved me over. And I felt so vulnerable. I wasn't ready for to be seen like that. And so my response was to gain a whole lot of weight so that that wouldn't happen again, because I wanted to be invisible. Visibility went counter to my prime directive. And so I still suffer with health issues from gaining that extra weight to make sure I was invisible, because it provided a cushion that let me hide, right? People don't expect as much from a fat black woman. And now I have to change that, right? There's so many things that we put in our way when we're trying to be invisible, that we just it's a one crushing thing after another, and you have to figure out a way to say, okay, enough is enough, because this no longer serves me. And the more you can see where the invisibility no longer serves you, and you start building your way up to becoming visible, the better your life becomes. But it's an extra hurdle because you've been invisible for a while. That's why I do this book. Yes, it does. It limits you in so many ways. That's a fact. And it's bad for your health, right? But that's why this book was so important to me and is so important to me, because this is how I got through from being invisible to becoming visible. This is a guide. It just kind of helps you. It's not a big book of, oh, the mega book of everything in life. This is about finding the way to finally conquer those fears and get visible. Because the true cost of invisibility is that you crush your dreams and you settle for so much less than you deserve in this lifetime. And so, this is my gift, right? This is my gift to you. Find a way to get visible, because it will change your life. Do what you can to change it. And I'm here to help. All right. You can learn more about me on my website at buildinvisibility.com, and I would be honored to help you in any way that I can. Thank you, Fran. You're awesome. This is Fran and I think Lorraine. Thank you both. I'm so happy you guys are here. You're awesome too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, bye bye.